Alrighty. Looks like it's that time. Welcome back to another Thursday stream, hosted by yours truly. Before we begin, disclaimer, nothing here is financial advice. Everything is strictly for entertainment, educational purposes, yada, yada, yada. If you guys are new here, what we do is we basically just run like an open floor, open forum, ask me whatever you want. Shout out a contract, shout out a ticker. There's no real agenda here because we always wander into something to talk about. So without further ado, let us begin. Let's see here. The first contract that people want to talk about are the SPY 697 calls expiring this Friday, which saw a large amount of activity on the 6th of January, as you can see on the historical volume and open interest. Open interest going into the session was pretty much zilch, and there were 30,000 contracts traded on this day right here, with a large change in open interest observed the next session. So, I mean, it looks like whoever this trader is, I mean, we don't know what other positions they're in. If this is the only position they're in, then they're cooked, as the kids would say. It does not appear that they closed the position at all. You know, there is some volume here. Occasionally you do see a decrease in open interest, but there's nothing significant enough for us to have any indication that this trader is closed. Now, let's give it an example actually of some flow, which you can kind of tell. Let me see if I still have that saved here. I think it was the Goog 215P. Here we go. All right, so do we have, okay, so we can't go, the chart doesn't go back all the way, but I want to go back in time, way back when. So we're scrolling all the way back into September, August even. So at the end of August 28th, the Google 215Ps had a presumed writer, aka short seller, not short seller, a writer, aka a short put trader. They opened 10,000 contracts here, which we can see reflected in the open interest the next day. A few days later, another 5,000 were traded. Now, in the moment, we don't know if this is an open or a close. However, the next day we do see that their open interest increased by 5,000. So we can give this trader credit for around 15,000 contracts. Lo and behold, if we fly over to the present day, there is 15,000 contracts traded this and last week. So on Friday, we had 5,000 here. Yesterday, we had 5,500 here, and today about 5,000 here. So this trader is likely closing out the entirety of their position. If you go back to when they originally opened their position, they received 18 plus premium on this day. They received 12 plus premium on this day, and they're closing for pennies. So this is a very, 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 very successful trade by this trader, pocketing about 24 mil, which is more money than I've ever made. So congrats. Let's see here. Someone's asking about Intel. So Intel is trading, or Intel is has earnings in the after hours. Take a look at the historical Intel data. So what we're looking at right here is the historical Intel expected versus actual priced in move. The priced in move is a range, a plus or minus range, which is depicted by the gray bar. If you see an X, that means that Intel traded outside of what was priced in the day after earnings. If the indicator is green, it traded inside the expected move. So not seeing much of a trend here, I guess we could say. The expected move is 6.9% in either direction, which if we look at just visually what it would look like. So the range of expected outcomes today, the options market is pricing in I guess it's 7.34% here. So pricing in a $4 move in either direction, which would be from anywhere from 50 to 58 bucks. Obviously, it can trade way below or way above that. And if it does, then the options buyers will be having a good time and the sellers will not. So we shall see. Intel's obviously had a pretty crazy run in the last few days. There's been several big flows. I guess we could just go over the Intel ones that I'm tracking. I don't think we saw any today unless someone can show me otherwise, but let's see here. I might be missing some of these. Yeah, so I guess I am missing some of them. So let's see. The first one is the Intel 65C expiring in April. This was hit yesterday, I believe. Yep. So yesterday, 40,000 plus contracts traded with a very steep increase in open interest. So, you know, a bulk of these traders held through the close. Someone is also pointing out the Intel 70C, same expiration. Let's take a look there. Very, very similar story. Large activity yesterday, followed by a large increase in open interest that you could have observed in the pre-market. Now, nothing is explicitly telling us that these are buys, vice sells. All we have to go off is the bid-ask fill relationship, as you guys know. So it appears that these are buys to open. There is some Intel profit taking today on some larger existing positions. I think the 42C, is it this one? Yeah, so this position was opened, let's see, January 8th, 4,000-ish contracts traded. The tape is a bit murky, didn't really give you an indicator if they were buys or sells because we have such a mix of bid, ask, and mid activity. However, we are seeing similar volume today. So I do suspect we shall see a steep decrease in open interest tomorrow. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, Intel reports after the close. So you're going to have to figure out what your play is before the close, obviously. Let's see. Someone is shouting out the Google 430 Junes. I believe those were closed. No? Yeah, so these were closed yesterday. So you go Google 430 June popped back in January. Well, I guess we're still in January. Popped on January 7th to be specific. 56,000 contracts traded on January 7th. Steep increase in open interest the next day. As we would expect. But then yesterday, we do observe quite a large amount of volume, which can, I mean, the initial thought just should have automatically been, okay, well, I know that there's a massive, 40,000 plus volume day here, which resulted in a large increase in open interest. Now that I'm observing another large amount of volume, is it another party or is it someone who's already in the position? I know which one of those two options sounds more likely to me. Hint, hint, it's the latter. So yeah, this position was closed. Let's see, do I have any other closing positions to share? I think I've already deleted some of them. Bullrat is asking about the predictions tool and earnings. I have not yet looked at that as it pertains to earnings, so let me fiddle with that before I give you any kind of answer. Let's move into the next chain here. So I wonder if they are closing these TSM 345 calls that were expiring this week. There was big activity on the 15th, which I'm not totally convinced was buy activity. Now it is kind of, you can see it's mostly at the ask. But I don't know, it just felt kind of lazy. Like it didn't really feel like they were slapping the ass to get in. Obviously, anything could have happened, but in this case, calls are not profitable. And there is some pretty big volume today. I wonder if we will see a decrease in open interest tomorrow. I suspect we will. Stay tuned for that. Let's see here. From YouTube, we have a question. Is there a way to see which options trade in 0.5 or 0.1 increments versus 0.05? I do not believe so. There's something strange. I could be mistaken, but I feel like is it the exchange that you're trading or the brokers that you're trading on that determines the increment? Because I feel like I've seen some. Yeah. Okay. So I see people in the chat are nodding their head. Yeah. So I don't know. Your brokerage, I guess, determines that. Obviously, the 0.05 spread ones are a little bit tricky. You can get screwed really easily. So yeah, obviously those are less desirable than one that trades in a penny spread. You know what I mean? Great question though. Great question. Let me check out the chat here. We got someone asking about the Alma 30C, the Alma gods. Let's see here. So we had a big pop of 2,000 contracts or 900 grand straight in the morning. This was a clear opener because there's only I guess, quote unquote, only 900 open interest. So a 2,000 size trade obviously cannot fit into a 900 open interest contract. So this is a clear opener. The only data that we have currently, just from this view, is that they traded at or closer to the ask. And the contracts are up a little bit. The name is well off highs. Let's see what the tape suggests. So the tape doesn't give us much. It's just a straight 2,000 size trade against a very wide spread. So maybe not the best, clearest flow. We would rather have a tighter spread. We would also rather, ideally, not rather, but we would ideally like to see more transactions, just so that we could feel out the tape a little bit, see how the spot price reacts, how it moves, how the bid ask fluctuates, stuff like that. So an opener, certainly, you will see the open interest increase by some factor tomorrow. Keep in mind that changes in open interest are not one for one, right? Just because someone opens 2,000 contracts does not mean the open interest will go up 2,000 necessarily. The same thing applies for decreases open interest. Actually, that reminds me, let's take a look at, what was it? AMD 180? Yeah, there it is. I think, nope, is that it? Give me 1 second to pull up my Twitter off screen. Uno momento. All right, here we go. It's the AMD 180p expiring at the end of the month. So on December 29th, I observed a trader, and let's actually just go to the tweets. Why not? All right, so December 29th, we had what I believe to be the same trader opening positions on several chip names. We have the AMD 180p 130s, the NVIDIA 160ps also expiring on January 30, as well as the AVGO 280ps expiring again January 30th. So nothing tells me that there's nothing that says it belongs to the same trader, but like, I'm just like holding my hands out for you to look at these contracts, right? The volume is uncannily similar. Now, if we pull up all the activity on these contracts, these positions were all closed simultaneously yesterday, right? So let's see. So the increase in open interest here. So again, December 29th, we had a 13,000-ish size trade. Open interest increases as we would expect, right? So this trader owns around 13,000 of the open interest, but now they've closed their entire position yesterday, but the open interest still remains decently high, and this is because when they're closing their contracts, but the contracts aren't getting wiped off the board, right? Someone else somewhere out there has the contracts, which is why the open interest is not decreasing by 14,000 or so. You'll see the same thing on the NVIDIA 160p 130s. We go back in time, December 29th, 38,000 of these bad boys traded, increase in open interest as we would expect. Yesterday, big volume representing a close. Today, the decrease in open interest is not quite what we might anticipate it to be. Last example was the AVGO, what was that strike? 280p 130, very, very similar look. Again, December 29th, 8,000 plus traded, 8,000 plus open interest the next day. That all checks out. They closed their position in full yesterday, but we're not seeing a minus 8,000 decrease in open interest. Right, so just keep in mind the change in open interest aren't one for one, both on the opening and the closing end. Let me see here. So next, someone is posting Moo 133.40. 342.5p, which we see right here. Moo is currently trading at 395. Okay, hold up. So this I saw. Okay, so we're seeing this might like it looks uncannily like this thing that we just looked at. So it might be the same person. I posted another contract right before I went on stream that looked exactly like this. Yeah, here it is. So move, someone just posted this one expiring 130. How about the TSM 295P expiring on 130 as well? Yeah, it's probably the same Larry. Are they doing this to anything else? Can I see, what do I want to see? Put cells. Do we have anything here? Chips. So I do see the moo up there. Expiration we're looking for 130, right? All right, let's try to isolate this to 130. Moo, TSM. If I change this to 0.6. So potentially doing the same thing here on NVIDIA 165p. Not as clearly, like the look isn't the same, but it's possible. Now this one, the look is similar. I don't know, we'll have to check the open interest. Open interest could be literally anything from 0 all the way up to 28,349. We will find out tomorrow, but who knows? Yeah, that moo contract is definitely interesting. It is peculiar, to say the least. All right. Someone from YouTube is asking, is the SPY 697 expiring this Friday is still open? We hit that really quickly at the beginning of the stream if you missed it, but I'll hit it again. Just strictly by numbers, the trader is likely still in the position in full, right? In order for the trader to have exited, we would have a need to see similar volumes to when they had entered, right? Like these examples that I just went over with do I still have any of them up here? I don't. The AMD, the NVIDIA, the AVGO contracts that we just went over, right? We need to see similar volumes, otherwise the trader's still holding. Now, we don't know if this trader was in any other positions, right? Suppose they bought a SPY 697 call expiring this week, but let's also suppose that they're short a SPY 696 call, right? So this is the 697. What if they're short the strike right underneath this for a call credit spread? That would mean that their position is probably doing quite well. Now, I don't think that's the case here. This was a single leg flow, but that's not to say that you can't. It's not to say that you can't leg into a position, right? So legging into a position means you open up one position, one contract, and then you enter later at some other point in time a different position, and that's what you call legging in. So what is not a leg in is the HD 365 385 call spread. This was hit at the same time, so this is just a clear call debit spread. On the day of, you can see that pretty much every contract traded was attached to another trade. How do I know that? I know that because we have all data on every single transaction across every options exchange. So that is one helpful bit of information to have. And now whenever you place a trade, or not rather place, when you execute a trade, if the trade is a multi-leg trade, the exchange that executes it flags it and labels it as such. So your trade, if you look at it in the flow feed, it may have a MF or ML prefix. These are multi-leg trades. We also render a little icon here, which is helpful. It'll show you other flows that are taking place at the very same time. So on the day of this flow, on January 5th, I observed that the HD 365 and the 385 were being traded at the same exact time. Right here, right here. So it looks like a call debit spread. They actually closed around 4,000 contracts a few days later, but they're still in the majority of their position. Let's see what the open interest looks like. The historical open interest, rather. So going into the session, the long leg, the 365, had 1,000 open interest. So that's, for all intents and purposes, it's nothing, right? We see 14,000 volume, open interest increase as we would expect. Now, when someone trades 4,000 contracts on this day and the open interest decreases, we know for certain that it can only be this trader. How do we know for certain it can only be this trader? Because this trader is the only person that has the kind of size to accommodate a 4,000 size trade. The open interest was only 1,000 going into the session when the big trade was opened. So we know we can account for 13,000, 14,000 of the open interest. So yeah, just use the existing data that you have. You got to piece together the pieces. It's not always clear. This is like a very straightforward example. It's not always going to be this clean. But the clean examples are where you learn to like kind of figure out exactly what's going on. All right. So yeah, SPY apparently still out just because it's open. Again, we don't know if they're buying it, shorting it, whatever. So just because the open interest is there does not mean that there's hope. Now obviously there's hope, right? Anything can happen. They find a cure for cancer tomorrow or whatever, and the market goes, I don't know if it would go up, honestly, but let's just say it goes up like, 10% on the SPX, then obviously those calls would be resurrected. But, just because the open interest is there, it's not always a good indicator, because again, contracts can be shorted as well as longed, and shorted contracts increase the open interest the same way that bought contracts do. So we do have yesterday the MOO 350p expiring in May, which was hit for 10,000 contracts at the open. When there's only 103 open interest, obviously 10,000 contracts cannot fit into 100. So this was a clear opener, and obviously the open interest was going to go up by at least 10,000 the next day. So let's just say you just observe the open interest, right? Let's just say you all you know is that there's 10,000 open interest on these puts. Like that doesn't, like, is that a bearish indicator? Is that a bullish indicator? It's actually neither, because we don't know how the puts got there. We need to, if you have the context that on January 21st, 10,000 contracts are opened at the bid, and now there's 10,000 open interest, like that's the kind of color that you need to give yourself like a better understanding of this contract as a whole, right? Like the Burlington options train is probably a decent example. I don't know if there's that many puts in here still, because it's been a little bit. No, there's still some. Right, so the Burlington Coat Factory options chain, the contracts with the most open interest are predominantly puts. I think let's just look at the top 3 puts here. We have the 230p, the 210p, and the 240p, all of which I believe we have mentioned on Twitter, on Discord, etc., etc. This put seller has been at it for quite some time now. But so like notice I said it's a put seller. They're not buying the puts, they're shorting the puts. But if you were to attempt to glean any information from the Burlington highest open interest contracts, you would kind of be barking up the wrong tree here if you were just looking at the volume or the open interest. The added context is that we know, or I know, and maybe you do too if you're paying attention, but we know that this position was created in one go due to bid side activity. So this is actually like a bullish / a neutral, I guess, position. 210 March, similar story. Just a one pop back in the day, straight up at the bid. Same thing for the 240Ps, I believe, as well. So on the 12th of January, in the year of our jabroni. All right, cool. Next contract. We got the SEN 14C 618. What's going on here? My search bar is busted. SEN. Oh, it's SAN. That's why. SAN. There we go. Computer's lagging. SAN. Bear with me a minute here. What are you doing? Okay. So let's see here. SAN 14 strike call expiring in June. We have a clear opening trade. How do I know it's an opening trade? I know it's an opening trade because there's only 576 open interest going into the session. There's basically no volume prior, and I know that 1,200 contracts, which is the size of this candle / trade, I know 1,200 contracts cannot fit into 576. So clear opener. Let's see here. Let's take a look at the tape. The tape does not give us a whole lot of clues. We do have 2 transactions, but the bid ask and the spot don't do anything during the transactions. So, you know, ideally, I would have liked to see maybe the spot increase as they're filling, perhaps, but we don't have that here. So all we have to go on is that this is an opening trade filled at the ask. That is the extent of the context that we have here. But yeah, a clear opener. Being able to identify openers, knowing what's an opener, what's not an opener. I think that's like, if you are trying to figure out if you're easing your way into flow, I think that's one of the first things that you should try to get good at. Being able to determine if positions are being opened or closed, just like honestly, just by like at a quick glance. It'll help you a lot if you can pick up on that real quickly. All right, let's keep going here. Yep, so the Google 430s have been closed, if you guys missed it. I see a couple people chatting about it in the Discord chat. It is the Google 430 Junes. They were opened January 7th, closed yesterday. I do believe they made money. Let's see here. The average fill on, maybe not. The average fill on the day of the trade was 524. The average fill on yesterday was 519. So presumably, potentially lost $5 a contract times like 40,000 contracts. So perhaps a 6 mil haircut. 29 million in premiums traded here. 23 million in premiums traded there. Let's see. I see someone saying that they lost sound. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I mean, I guess you won't be able to let me know if you can't hear me. But no one is okay. People are saying they can. It might be an issue for you. All right. Let's see. Let's go to the KGS 45C Aprils. So we had some flow yesterday. This is a 2,000 size trade, so this is a clear opener. But this position was likely unwound slightly before the close. Why do I think it was unwound slightly before the close? Well, so there was 450 open interest going into the session. There was 2,000. This is a 2,000 size trade, so this was for sure an opening trade. If nothing else happened throughout the rest of the day, the open interest would be at least 2,000. So we have a 750 size trade here at the end of the day. So I suppose some kind of contract handoff took place here because, see, I mean, this trader didn't bring all 2,000 of these into today, if I had to guess. Some were closed, probably handed off. But yeah, I mean, it's a clear opener. Is this some kind of gold? Oh, it's gas. Yeah, people have been talking about natty gas prices lately, haven't they? Stay safe this weekend. It's supposed to be pretty fucked up, all like basically anywhere within the continental United States. Check a map if you haven't looked at it lately. The weather map, I mean, not a regular map, the weather map. All right, let's see here. Guild 135C 220. A clear opener yesterday before the close. Well, maybe not. Yeah, I guess it's a clear opener. We have a 5,000 stick here, a 5,000 size stick, only 2,000 open interest. So yeah, it's an opener for sure. Change in open interest as expected. Guild. This is like Gilead, right? Gilead. Yeah. Okay. So healthcare, kind of hot, right? Myrna had a pretty big end of day flow that printed pretty nicely today. Which one was it? Was it the 60 Mays? Was it the 60 Mays? It was the 60 Mays. If my chart wants to load here. Man, my computer's a piece of shit. All right. So yeah, yesterday at the close, there was a 3,000-ish flow starting at about 330, 340. Yep. So in the last half hour, they were hitting these. I saw some people talking about them. Change in open interest as you would expect. And the contracts are obviously doing quite well. Average fill was 465, and they're now trading for 715 or so. So that's a nice 250 or so gainer. Let's see. Yep. So I see people mentioning that they had checked that out yesterday. Yep. This was a good one. Very cool. Yeah, I see some people sharing their weather updates. It's going to be a doozy. It's going to be a doozy. All right. I need more stuff in the chat. I need more stuff in the chat. We're at the end of the chat. All right. We got a next victim here. The RDY 15 strike March. Clear openers again. Only 100 open interest going in today. So say it with me now. A 5,000 size trade cannot fit into 109. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, okay. So it was an opening trade for certain. Let's take a look at the tape. Now, here's kind of what I'm talking about, the tape, right? So we have two transactions. We have two executions, rather, I should say. This is probably one transaction, right? Someone probably went onto their brokerage, hit buy 5,000 contracts, and it just happened to fill in a lot of 2,000 and a lot of 3,000 at the same exact time, maybe a millisecond or two off. But you can see that the spot price actually increases as their position gets filled. So this looks like a buy to me. Now, whether it's profitable or not, obviously, who fucking knows? But this looks like a buy to open. We have a little bit of more context from this tape because we can see that the spot prices increases as the trade gets executed. So potentially a buy. What even is this thing here? RDY. Dr. Reddy's Laboratories, an Indian multinational pharmaceutical company. Yeah, trading Indian pharmaceutical companies, it's like Chinese basketball. It's like betting on Chinese basketball, kind of, in my mind, at least. That makes the analogy's kind of there. The Guangdong Sharks or whatever it is. Drax is asking if I take into account stuff like floor volume. I don't really. Oh, sorry, Zihan, I missed your chat. You want me to look up the Shark Ninja, right? That's what it is, right? Yeah, Shark Ninja. What are you looking at? You're looking at the 130 Febs. I do believe I saw this one earlier. Not the biggest flow, but a clear opener, 800 size against 342 open interest. So again, clear opener. What does the tape look like? A single execution. Definitely a wide spread here. It does feel closer to the ask, but like it's not really that great. When there's a wide spread, you really just want it to fill either out of the bid or at the ask. Mid fills can be kind of tricky to read. So no real read here. I mean, it's a clear opener. Just don't know if it's a buy or a sell. Well, you never know really, but like sometimes the tape's a little bit more clear than others. Let's see here. Let's move on. Maybe we'll find some examples of stuff. We always do. ACN 325 March. Is this the one from yesterday? Okay, I guess you're looking for yesterday's flow. So yesterday, 7,200 of these bad boys traded. Clear change in open interest as we would expect. Filled at the bid. So I guess the initial face value read is that someone is shorting some of these ACN contracts. What is this? Accenture. Got it. Does it have earnings soon? March 19th. So I mean, it's the expiration is a day after earnings, so it overlaps earnings. But like, I don't think that necessarily makes it an earnings trade per se. So this might not be anything unusual. It might just be someone putting on a little bit of protection, right? If they are writing calls, perhaps. Let's see if the tape tells us anything. Oh yeah, actually the tape tells us quite a bit here. Beautiful, beautiful. So I clicked on this first candle here. This is the first part of their trade. Now, nothing tells us that these two candles are linked. Nothing tells us it's the same trader, but do you see a line of people looking to trade this contract? You don't. There's just no activity in this contract. So like, we got to use our thinking caps, our deductive reasoning skills that we've honed through however many years you've been on this earth. We must deduct that this is the same person. So I clicked on the first candle. I want to look at their first little bit of executions. The trade first starts getting filled at 2:58:06 p.m. And you can see it starts filling at 2:42 against a very wide spread. Now all these executions take place at the same time. So this is them filling. This is them getting filled, right? The volume increases as the time goes on, right? Volume can only go up, right? So this is the first fill. This is the second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, etc., etc. You can see the spot price decreasing as they're getting filled. So they're clearing out the order book. They're clearing out the order book, and this is likely a write. Now, it is possible that they just happen to, maybe they just had like a limit buy in place, but it seems unlikely. This seems like a very clear write to me. Let's take a look at the other. Okay, so the other filters took place on a single line of data here. So there's no context clues to be gained from the second instance of activity here. But this first one is actually quite telling if I had to say so myself. You guys can see that, right? So 2:58:06, all at the same time. Spot price is decreasing as they're getting filled. So it would appear that they are, well, they're not slamming the door. They're not slapping the ass, right? That's for sure. Let's see. Someone's saying that the second bar was a floor trade, so it could be two different traders, certainly. Now, sometimes I've heard, and I haven't verified it myself. I have heard people say that their run-of-the-mill options trades have been marked as floor trades before. So, not quite sure what the deal with that is, but who knows? Let me scroll back up here in the chat. Someone is mentioning some Amazon. So I got the same situation. This took place right in the AM yesterday. I believe I tweeted this one. We have a 2400 size opener right off the rip. 2400 cannot fit into 2120. So this was a clear opener. Open interest change, very cool. Close to all contracts traded. Now, if we look at the tape here, this is a very similar tape to that one we just looked at here, the ACN 325. Let me get that up here so we can look at it again. Who the fuck is calling me right now? So ACN, right? So with the same timestamp, spot price is decreasing. If we look at Amazon, 9:35:38 timestamp, all the same timestamp. Starts filling at 391, 388, 387, 386. So they're clearing out the order book as they're getting filled, and the dealers are like, all right, well, the first one said, okay, I'll sell you one for 391. The next one says, all right, I'll sell you however many this is, 40. I'll sell you 40 of them for 388. And then the prices just gets lower and lower as the dealers think the contract is worth less. This is a clear right in my estimation. It's doing all right. They filled at 386 here, and it's trading 310, so they're up a little bit. Oh, my mom's calling me. Give me one sec. Hey, Mom, I'm busy. I'll call you later. All right. Let's see. All right, we got the QuantumScape 12C220. Presume you were talking about yesterday's flow. We had some pretty big activity afternoon, which resulted in an increase in open interest. Now it's a little bit muddy because there's already 11,000 open interest, or 12,000, close to 12,000 open interest going into the session. So a bit muddy here. How are you going to track this whale? It's going to be a little bit, well, where even is the whale, right? There's just a whole bunch of volume here. Could it be the same trader? It could be, but it's going to be a little bit hard to track when the volume is like this. Let me refer to my pinned tweet. Not all volume is the same. These charts, if you want to call them charts, they're both 10,000 volume. However, one of them is just like a single instance of activity. The other one is just like a hodgepodge of some volume here, some volume there, some volume here, some volume there. So between the two, the more attractive flow would certainly be the one on the left. So yeah, just keep in mind, when we're trying to track flows, when you're trying to track flow using the historical charts. It's going to be easier when it's like a single instance kind of. Now there are examples. Do I have any on hand? Let me see. Could this one be it? Okay, so I guess this was an okay example. Maybe not. Well, we'll talk about it anyway. So on January 7th, 6,000 plus traded, the NVIDIA 160p 213, 6,000 traded against no open interest, change in open interest the next day, as you'd expect. The contract actually gets hit again the next day with a similar increase in open interest to the volume. So I wonder if they shorted here and added to their position here. Now the open interest hasn't really done anything, so I mean we can potentially give this trader credit for around 14,000 of the open interest, and it'll likely be easy to track them just because there isn't much activity going on here. What are the good examples? You can never find the good examples when you need them. I mean, here's another one. Well, not an example of what I want to show you guys, but just another single instance of activity that we can clearly see here. 1,600 contracts traded against 19 open interest.
Real quick, I think we might have a wide set. Don't do it. Oh, I was gonna say don't do it. Oh, yours is.
No, I was about to say. Yeah,
Yours
mine. I was checking. I see people in the chat.
Yeah, mine is too.
It is possible. Oh fuck! Give me a second here. No. Give me a second. All right, yo. Yeah. Can you handle that, Nick? Because I'm obviously a little bit busy here.
Yeah, I'm on it. Go ahead.
All right. Sorry, we may or may not have some intermittent site issues right now. Seems like my site's okay right now, but if you guys are having some issues, I'm sorry. It'll be resolved soon, I'm sure. Let's see here. Let me get back to some more of you guys's.
Yep, got an update already. It should be coming through with a fix here shortly. Already fixed. It'll just take a second to launch.
Very nice. Moving on, we get the Monster Beverage 95C 618 calling all Kyles. This flow was hit on 120, 40 open interest going into the day, 800 size. Say it with me, clear opener. And they're just hanging out. Open interest is still there. Now, for this 800 size trader to close, what would we need to see first? We would need to see 800 volume somewhere, right? Which we don't see. So they're still in. Now, is it a buy? I don't know. We just know that they're in. Let's take a look at the tape. Does the tape give us any clues here? Starts filling at 356.27. Just a pretty steady 170 fill the whole way. So no context clues here, unfortunately. This whole wall of flow is just one execution that takes place at the same millisecond. But there's no change in the spot or the ask. Now the bid just tightened up a little bit, which maybe is a promising sign, but I would rather see the ask move a little bit. Someone is asking and moving on. We got the Amazon 260 821s. When were these guys hit? These were hit way back in the day. December 17th, was it a single leg trade? Let me scroll back here. So not a single leg trade. So we were only seeing a partial view of this. So let's just take a look at this contract first, though. So 816 open interest, 27,000 volume, changing open interest as you expect, yada, yada, yada. Straight up at the ask, big premiums, but we need to see what the other leg or legs are. So let's see here. So we have, I want to guess this was like a 260, 280 spread. 260, 310. Close enough. So 260, 310. 260, 310. So we have is it the same size? Yeah, so 27,000 of the 260s opened here, 27,000 of the 310s opened here. We've already established through the volume and open interest that they've opened rather, and there's obviously no big volume for them to exit their position. So this position is clearly still open. How about the 310, which we may presume is the short leg of a call debit spread? Yeah, so they're still in this position, both legs. Again, it appears to be a 260, 310 call debit spread expiring in August. What was the cost here? So the cost was 1443 for the long leg, presumably if it was a long contract. Minus 509. So what is that? Quick maths. 990-ish, 980 something like that. So they need Amazon to be around 270 plus by expiration to make money. They would like Amazon to close at like 309.99 on the day of expiration for the maximum amount of tendies possible. But anything past 270 would make them happy. All right, let's see here. YouTube. Sorry if I missed your comments, guys. I'm trying to get to all of them. YouTube. Someone is asking about the WY. The frick is W9? Weyerhaeuser. We manage forests and manufacture products that make the world a better place. Cool. All right, so we have a clear opener here. There's only 33, 33 open interest going today. 8,000 size trade, clear opener. Let's take a look at the tape. Just a single block, just a single lump. That does take place closer to the bid. 45 is closer to 40 than it is 60, but there aren't any other context clues here. This thing is also trading earnings quite soon, so something else to keep in mind. You can see this transaction affecting the net premium chart right here. So yeah, clear opener. YouTube is asking, can we match up options orders to stock orders by time of day? In other words, do we have access to a stocks order book? Okay, so the answer to do we have access to the stock order book, aka the level 2 data? The answer currently is no. That may change in the future. Can we match up options orders to stock orders? Not exactly sure what you're asking. Let me know if you can rephrase that a little bit. Let's see, Solid 9000 is asking about the PDD 120 March. Let's see here, we have 10,000 contracts traded. However, the open interest is also around 10,000. Let's take a look. Do we see any 10,000 size position already in existence? We don't, so this is probably an opener. We should probably see open interest increase tomorrow. What it increases by, I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, like, this is a 5,000 size candle. This is a 5,000 size candle, 10,000 contracts total. Let's just say that one day there was 10,000 volume and the open interest went up to 2,000, that might be the entrance, but like it doesn't look like the historical volume does not suggest that there's any 10,000 size position already in existence. So this could potentially be an opener. I'd say it's likely an opener. Is it a buy to open? Is it a sell to open? I don't know. I just saying it for sure, probably an opener. China flow though. I mean, the KWeb 40s are still open, right? The KWeb 40s expiring in August that were hit on January 5th, still open. They're down about 8 cents a contract. So yeah, they're still in. Let's see here. YouTube is asking about the ARBE3C515. Yep. Already moving quite a bit here. 4,335 open interest going into the day. This first candle is 8,600, so that might have been a tip off. But then, once you get to about here, there's 12,000 contracts traded against 4,335 open interest. So you might start to get the sense that there's openers. Yeah, this one's already running nicely. What is this thing? Robotics. Building the future car's eyes and brains using a high resolution radar. Is there any Tesla connection here? I know there's the taxi stuff in Austin is monitorless or something or other. And then Elon said, like, by the end of next year, they're going to be selling the humanoid robots. I'm kind of calling cap on that, but we'll see. I'm looking at the chat here. Intel. Again, Intel trading earnings tonight. Hold on to your pants for that one. So the Intel 49P expiring this week has some likely openers. I guess the issue, and it's not necessarily an issue, but the thing that we need to pay attention to is that 85% of all of these 30,615 contracts are attached to another trade. So there's a little bit more digging that we need to do. I'm going to pull up all the trades and just click around here. So let's see here. So someone is trading, and we can see it in the chart here. So the 49P, which was requested, there is 44P, same expiration being traded at the same time, likely being opened. So at the beginning of the day, right, so open interest is 4,000 here. Open interest is, let's just say it's 4,000 here as well. We have a 7,500 size trade here, 7,500 size trade here. So these are both clear. These are both 100% opening trades. What size is this? 3,700, 3,700. I mean, this is the same. It's the same, probably the same trader. Are they opening some kind of put spread? Now, what is this one attached to? 49P, 46P. I mean, Intel, is it setting up for a disappointment? Obviously, it's earnings, so who knows? Most of the money has been made in the last couple of weeks. So who knows? Who knows? Intel. Coming up here soon. All right, I see here. Oracle 115P. This is a couple days ago. Clear opener. They're still hanging in there. Not the most size or the biggest dollar amount, but they're still in there. Like swimwear. Oracle 130P, 515, another one. Similar situation. Not the biggest flow, but they're still in there. It is flow. They're still in there. Last one, we got the Oracle 140P, 417. So these were hits on the 14th. They were opened, 1,000 contracts at the ask. Seeing some activity here, potentially a close. Check open interest tomorrow. It's about exactly half the size, so potentially they're closing out half their position. But obviously, we don't know. Is there anyone that could have had 500-ish contracts before? It's possible. It's possible that someone on the 20th, what was that, the 20th of November? We'll see. We'll see. All right. Let's see. So someone, the YouTube question earlier. Okay. So the YouTube, let me copy. I can paste this somewhere. Paste it here. I'll just paste it right here so you guys can kind of read it. I don't want to paste it somewhere else. All right, so YouTube, if I see an order that's an opener for 100 contracts, I would like to see if there was a hedge against it. Hedge in terms of stock. 100 contracts is 10,000 shares, right? So if I saw someone bought 10,000 shares and then sold 100 contracts. All right, so good question. So the way that you could do it, and it's not a consistent way, but the way you potentially could do it is, and it's not consistent. It's going to be hard to try to find an example here, but there are occasions in which an options trade itself is directly linked to shares. Now, when you see in the feed this like little circle symbol, that means that this options trade, has an unknown quantity of stock directly attached. If I click this, it may give me more information. It may not. So in this case, no information here because we only are able to receive data on stock trades that have executed on NASDAQ exchanges, which this trade did not. Can I find an example of one that has? Let's see if I can click around. Here's an example. I think this might be exactly what you're looking for, but again, it's going to be kind of hard. It's not really easy to scan for it, right? So we have 50 contracts of the AVGO 70, super deep in the money. So this isn't any flow that you need to be paying attention to, but we do have a 50 size trade here, which also happened to be traded at the very same time as 5,000 contract or 5,000 shares. So this is probably kind of what this is like in the same realm of what you were talking about, but like, it's not really like, it's not a scannable flow. I don't know how to say it. It's not something that you can really filter for, I guess. It's just something that you can see if you just happen to run into it in the feed. I see it's put arbitrage o'clock right now. I see it's put arbitrage o'clock. Oracle is trading at 178, and they are trading the 200s, the 300 puts. Why are they doing that? Is the world coming to an end? No, it is not. Let's see here. How about this one? The 280p expiring in March. Does this one have arbitrage? Nope. I want to find one that they've been arbing for eternities. Here we go. The Into 800p. Into is currently trading at 545. Why would they be trading the 800p? Well, the answer is that they're not really trading it. Well, they are trading it, but it's not really flow. It's a complex arbitrage trade in which the market makers are linking up with another market maker, selling each other a put spread, executing the long legs, so they're both left with two short legs that nobody's going to collect on. There's something where they make money on the overnight interest rate. It's complicated. I can't really explain it that well, but it's just an activity that's been going on for a long time now. You may have seen it on many other stocks. Spotify, here's a smaller example. Now, another example. See how the open interest just doesn't change, even though there's like millions in premiums being traded. That's just one thing to look for. So we always want to look at the volume in the open interest over time, right? A lot of the flows that you're seeing aren't really flows. Actually, I have kind of an example of some SPY flow that I saw some people talking about. So we had some people talking yesterday about this SPY 688 flow from yesterday. We had 9,800 contracts traded. There's no change in open interest. Well, there is a change, small change, but like not anywhere near what you would hope to see after seeing all this activity, right? So some kind of buy, sell, round trip, an open and close intraday took place here, which is why the open interest does not increase here. So open interest tells you quite a bit. We got a couple minutes here. Let me just rifle through here. Let's just close the chat off. No more requests, please. If you missed it, I'll get to you next week. Someone's asking about the DNN 5.5C expiring in July. We have a clear opener here. 837 open interest. An opener of 6,000 off. It doesn't do a whole lot. I'll probably peg it as a buy to open, but only middling certainty. An opener for sure, but not 100% sure it's an open. See here, someone's asking, or someone's saying rather, CVNA and Square block XYZ with some decent continuation flow on BABA. Did I see any CVNA? Did we see any CVNA? CVNA. Nothing much there. Did see some XYZ somewhere. Is it this guy? 1,000 contracts, XYZ, about 250,000 in premiums, clear opener, 210 fill. The feed does not give us any clues here, right? The bid and ask do not do anything. Same execution, same time, no movement. Baba, I didn't see much on Baba today. Let's see, YouTube asking about the Norwegian cruise line, 22 2,194 contracts traded, 1,000 open interest, clear opener. Let's take a look at the tape. Starts filling at 88 at 1:48:37. Does it do anything else in that timestamp? It does not. It does tighten up a little bit here, so maybe that is a good sign. I'm not sure. Again, I would rather see the ask or the spot price move. I want to see the spot price go up or go down as the contracts are filling, and we don't have that here, unfortunately. So I have only a modicum of confidence that this is a buy to open. Probably is, but again, we want some context clues to strengthen our resolve. All right, YouTube, we got the APA 26C end of month. Hell is this thing? APA Apache Corporation Energy. All right, so 944 open interest going today. 1,400 contracts traded here. Very, very clear opener. What does the tape look like? Many tapes that do not give us a whole lot, unfortunately. Now this one, not loving that. Like, it's possible that the bid was 44 the whole time, that there was a 45 ask the whole time as well. So I'm not loving this one. What is this? Earnings? Nope. Still next week. Yeah, I don't know. An opener for sure. Not the biggest money. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Let's see here. YouTube, another example, the at the money delta is 50. If we had access to level 2, then we can figure out if a dealer was hedging against a stock order, the level 2 would confirm it. Yep, so hopefully we can get level 2 data at some point down the line. We have a lot of plans, obviously. We have our hands in a lot of different things, but level 2 data would certainly be pretty interesting. Yep, thank you for the suggestion. I think that's about to do it. The APA was 26.5. All right, let's see. Expiration, my bad. All right, yeah, that one's slightly better look. 3,000 contracts traded against 336 open interest. Coming here at the close-ish. What does the first execution start looking like? No context clues again. Sometimes there aren't any. It's okay. Doesn't make the flow any better or worse. Well, I mean, I guess it could hurt your resolve a little bit if there isn't any context clues here. But yep. All right. I think that's gonna do it for me. I appreciate you guys coming out. Any announcements? What's today? Today's Thursday, so the weekly streams are done for the week. I guess Stoner, Jurassic, and crew. We'll see you guys on Monday in the morning at 9:30. I'll probably do an open interest stream at some point next week as well. So if you're able to get up at 6:45 at dark 30 in the morning, make some time for me, and we'll look at some flow. But yeah, I appreciate you guys coming out, and I appreciate you guys for participating in the chat. Give me some shit to talk about, and I'll see you guys next time.